Okay, we're almost there. Ready to start. Amazing, amazing. So just say we're going to record. Fantastic. Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So why do I keep doing the How to Stand Out Masterclass is that it is crucially important that you know what it is about you to really share what it is that you're creating. So many of you are in music, you're writing songs, you want to share them to the world. And if you are an entrepreneur, if you have a business, you want to share yourself and what you are creating in the world at a bigger level, at a more intimate level, and at a level that actually produces a result, right? So we want to produce a result. The result in this case is to stand out. Some of you, the situation might be that you want to sell merchandise, you want to sell your songs, you want to really connect to people on a different level. And so we're going to go through some of the solutions to this problem, right? And of course, I'm open, like put it in the chat if you have a question or anything too. So interrupt me at any time. Someone like Bukola knows me very well. And some of you who are here live and checking this out as we go, you guys know me well. I've been in the music industry for a very long time, have been performing since I was just a kid. And then I pursued this at a high school level, a university level. I studied musical theater in New York. I've been a dancer and an actor and a singer for most of my life. So there was definitely a conversation in my mind. And maybe there was a conversation in your mind also that said, I have something to share with the world. I want to do this at a higher level. I want to connect to an audience, because there's no question that the difference between being sort of an amateur at something is that I'm doing it for me in the privacy of my home. And then that conversation shifts a little bit, doesn't it? That dream shifts where you actually want to share it to more people. You want to stand on a stage, you want to get online, you want to go on social media, you want to start to declare what it is that you do. So let's break down just that. If the goal is to how to stand out, and maybe you have a piece of paper somewhere, put your goal. Okay, so the goal right now is to stand out, but it could be any goal. And under that, I want you to consider, who do you need to be to stand out? Because often we think about the world doing it or the audience doing it first, but I've already told you that the first step is really to stand out to you. You don't want to quite stand out to the world until you feel like you have something, a soapbox of some kind to stand on so that you can stand out. Does that make sense? So who do you need to be? So just write that down beside you. Who do you need to be to stand out? And probably one of the adjectives that come to mind right away would be confident. I need to be more confident, right? I need to feel like when I speak, I trust myself. When I speak with authority. When I speak, I can physically generate some energy, because energy feeds off of energy. We know that. So one of the things right away should be confident. I need to know what I'm talking about, believe in what I am sharing. Believe in it. And I think that that is something that's missed, because a lot of you are selling a product of some kind, a song. If it is the case that you're a singer-songwriter, you're selling a song. And so you think that the song is actually going to be the thing that sells it. But in fact, it's you, that level of confidence in your ability to communicate what it is that you are selling, starting with you. So let's do this. Who are we selling then? Who do we need to be? We just said was confident. So I'm going to write it down. Also, I love writing things down on a piece of paper, because when I see it visually, it just sort of makes sense. I need to feel confident. I've also broken down, right? Confident. I've also broken down that in order to feel confident, I need to trust myself, my communication. I need to trust in my ability to communicate who I am. So if confident means trust, which it does, confident, I'm trusting in someone. I'm going to trust myself. I'm going to trust in my communication. I'm going to trust that I have something interesting. So that means that I have to be interesting. Getting back to who do you need to be? Oops, who do you need to be? Who do you need to be? And so I need to trust myself. I need to have some level of communication skills. I need to be interesting. And so my question to all of you who are writing songs or have something to sell is, are you feeding your mind every day with interesting things? Are you in your mind full of doubt? How do I believe in myself if I'm full of doubt? How can I get on social media every single day, just like this, and share with all of you these things? I love to share it. I love to share it. And you guys do too. There's something that you're doing that you love, but then your ability to communicate it isn't quite at that same skill level. Do you agree? Does that make sense, Picola? Does that make sense? Lisa, does that make sense? Yeah. So
Yes.
we have to build our confidence to that level where we can communicate effectively, really just 4 things. Who are you? Who are you as a person? Are you an interesting person? Like I said, what are you doing every day to make you more interesting? Do you have the communication skills to express it? Number 2, what are you doing? Are you able to express what you're doing? Are you able to share the story behind what you do? Are you able to do, like, what is the story behind it, right? What is the story behind what you do? And Bucola has an amazing story that I would love for her to answer, because I think everyone's going to get so much out of her introduction. And the third thing is why? Why do you want to do it? This third question is really important because most people are interested in your why. And we think that we're going to wait until this thing that we do is complete, but we do not need to wait. If we have a compelling story, we have a compelling why we want to do whatever it is that we want to do, people are really interested then in going through the journey with you. So there's that bridge of where I am and where I want to be. And the audience gets pulled with you, enrolled in that why. And they want to be a part of it with you. They want to be a part of the story with you. And maybe they can help you along the way. And they want to. People right now are fascinated, obviously, with Taylor Swift, as they should be. Yeah. What is the difference between the story of, what did you say? Let me just check that again. I want my chat to stay open. It never stays open. Okay. Let me see what you said. What is the difference between the story and the why? Well, the story is often how you got started. The story starts with how you got started. I'll refer to, when I work with an artist, past, present, future, Lisa. So what was it early in your childhood that got you inspired? What was it that made you realize that you're good at something? What are the details of that beginning? Does that make sense? So something from your past that kind of sparks. Then the what are you doing is in the present. And in the future is, I hope one day, I dream, I wish, I really believe in myself that my future is compelling, something in my future. The why you do what you do sort of could answer all 3 of those questions. There could be a why behind the past. There could be a why behind the present. There could be a why you want that future. But the stories themselves, there's actually 2 stories. Want me to dive into stories, you guys? This is actually great. See, this is why I like questions. I can kind of help you think about your story in 2 things. Okay. The story of past, present, future. We just talked about it. I love that. And then this would be, and this is sort of as you are going along your journey, we have a different story that we have to work on too. So we have the story of past, present, future, which is what happened. Like, it's a what, it's a how, it's a why. Does that make sense? So it's a who you were even in the past, who you are now and who you know you need to be in the future. So we could use storytelling to know that we have to answer who, what, when, where, why. If we can use those amazing storytelling, we want to have descriptive parts of our story. We want to remember the setting of standing on a stage for the first time and how scared you might have been. Who were you? I was scared, but I did it anyway. People love that kind of story, don't they? They love that idea that we're going past our fears. We are doing something despite them, despite our feelings of maybe feeling like we're not quite good enough, but we stood on a stage, and when we lost ourselves, we shared something, we sang a song, we played a thing, we did our public speaking, whatever it was, we got up in front of the class, and we realized that we didn't need to believe in our fear, that our fear was sabotaging you, wasn't it? Because you ended up doing it and you realize that you're kind of good at it, right? It's kind of exciting. And so when we know how to share that part of our story, and by the way, we're doing it each and every day, the human being is making somewhere between 2,000 and 6,000 small decisions every day. And in those decisions, you guys, you are going past your fears all the time, your doubts all the time. You just don't realize it. There's so much of the day, it's like, oh, do I really have to? And then you do it anyway. You show up to class. If you're in school, you show up to work, even if you don't feel like it, don't you? I do all the time. But then there's other times in your life, the negotiables, the things that you give into your fear about. Why do we do that? All of a sudden it's not negotiable, or now it is negotiable. So we want to dissect that too, I think, as a human beings. Like, why sometimes do I give in to my feelings and other times I can overcome them? And if you go into your past, you'll realize you were way more confident than you believe or you remember yourself to be. Because there was always a time in all of our lives that we can remember falling down on our bike and getting up. Right? Falling down off of a playground and getting up and doing it again, brushing off your knee, maybe having a couple of tears and doing it again. And then some way along our life as we grow up, we believe this other part of a story, to Elisa's point, like, what is the story? We have influences from the outside world that tell us, no, you should believe in your feelings. Your feelings are valid. And if you are afraid, you shouldn't do it. And if you have anxiety about it, you don't have to do it. But yet when you were a kid and you had anxiety, when you were a kid and you had fear, you did do it and you got over it. And even if you failed or made a mistake, you got up. So why are we so afraid in the present? Why are we so afraid in the present? Because we believe in someone else's story instead of our own. So we do want to remember the past, Elisa. It's so important, right? We all have those stories of how we got started. The second part of our story is validation. And as you go along your career, you know, you're pursuing something, even as a kid, we have validating stories. So I just gave you one. I fell off my bike and I got back up. That's validating. And that supports our ability to do it again. Okay, I failed, but I did it again. And then I got a little bit better and I got a little bit better. A story about that might be, you know, someone like Bukola, again, just because I see your beautiful face, Bukola, so I can reference you all the time. That's where being off camera is awesome. Is that if I'm starting to share my music, that is actually data. There's data now available to all of us at any time. How many followers do we have? How many monthly listeners do we have? So that would be a form of data. Today, I just wanted to focus on the feeling data, the feeling of validation, the feeling that you did overcome. And most of us forget. And that's what I want you to all remember, that you don't have to give into the outside story, but you can actually create your own interesting, compelling story. So let's go through what that looks like. I've done this exercise with people on these standouts before, and I think it's a very important exercise. So at some point, we realized that we're good at something. We got inspiration, we got inspired, and we tried it. Okay, so this would be like this try. And we probably failed a couple times, possibly, but we started to try here. Okay. And we got good at it. We recognized that, oh my goodness, I'm kind of good at that. If I pick up an instrument, I'm kind of good at that. I watched Canada's Got Talent, and there was a girl at the piano singing a jazz song. Not the best jazz singer or piano player, but guess where she was amazing? I don't know, she's pretending to be a trumpet. Like, how cool was that? And she was really good at it. Okay. So someone said, try that. And she got good at it. She was like, I'm naturally good. How do we get great at it? How do we get great? We get great through skill. We get great through skill. And over here, we might put down how are you building your skills to get great at this thing that you're inspired by. So this, we could do the same thing and say, this is my goal. Okay, this is my dream. This is my dream, and it's to stand out. I have a vision of myself. People might call this a vision. Okay, just so I can use different words, you can relate to it. And I notice that I have a voice in my head that says, I want to try it. I want to try that thing that I have a vision, or I have a goal, or I'm inspired by. And I notice that I'm good at it when I try. But in order to get great at it, we have to build skill. And the skill could be through, classes. As we know, coaching. We're going to build skill through practice. And I believe it is in, I'm going to call it mentorship. I was sort of struggling with the word for a second, like what's the most powerful word? But mentorship, community. Let's add that. Okay, why? Pharrell Williams, there was a great quote from an interview that he had, and he said that all successful runners know, like when they're training for track and field, that when they go on the field with people who run faster than them, they run faster also. That our own mind will slow you down. But when you run with people who are faster than you, they will push you to a level that you again didn't believe that you felt like you could. So your feelings, your validation, even from the past story, says I can only go this fast. But through coaching, through practice, right? Through trainings and classes, are we going to get better? Of course we are. We're going to get great. But how do we get really to that next level of great? Mentorship, community, people who are running faster than you. Does this make sense? Yeah? So far, so good? Okay. So in order to get great, I'm going to add something to this next thing. Stefan Macchio, who I know quite well, I've known him since we were in our 20s, and he is the producer and songwriter behind many hits with Celine Dion, The Weeknd. He has a very successful piano, instrumental only piano program, many albums out. And he has been mentoring at universities. And he posted something the other day that I think it's important that I address here, which is, don't worry about social media, is what he said. Just get great at what you do. So let's think about that for a second. All this side is very personal, okay? I'm gonna say even this, like let's draw a line and say, if I drew a line down this would be personal. Does that make sense? Totally personal. Meaning this is my journey. I try something, I realize I'm good at it. Now, a teacher might tell you that you're good at it too. So there is some validation here, right? I might have tried it and failed the first time and then tried it again and then, kind of getting good at something. In order to get better, we definitely need to enroll coaches, teachers, trainings. Like, that's why you're here too. I want to keep learning, keep growing. And I'm definitely going to start practicing what I'm learning. And through mentorship and community, I'm going to notice that I'm building people around me that are pushing me to get great. So far, so good. Very personal. And I could hide here. I could keep myself on this side of the wall for a long time. That's what Stefan is saying. He's saying stay on this side of the wall for a long time before you start to share on this side, which would be public, which would be the audience. Because this is where we start to get, and I've put this many times, like excellent. How do I get excellent? Let me just box this so you can kind of see how do I get excellent? And I'm going to get excellent really through a few things. Experience. I have to start doing more and more. This is all skill building. This is now doing, experience, sharing. I must start to share. I must start to declare the dream, enroll. I have to enroll an audience. Connect. Let's do one more on there. Connect. This is huge because once I start to connect my greatness, my feeling, my belief in myself, I start to share it at another level with an audience. It becomes public. Does this make sense to everybody? But this is where, and I'm going to put another line through here, because this is where it starts to get tough. This is where we're open to criticism. We're open to judgment. We're open to other people's opinions about what we're doing. And what I think Stefan was talking about in his post is like, before you feel like you're great, and I don't want it to just be what you do. I want you to feel great in yourself, who you are. Why do you do what you do is more powerful than even what you do. Oh, you can't see the board. I'm sorry. I know. Usually I do it on a big board. I'm doing it small today. So inspiration leads to being good. Because I try something, I experience something. And when I notice that I'm good, and sometimes it might be a teacher that validates it, I'm just reminding you, it could be a friend who says, wow, you're a really good singer, or wow, you write songs, that's so cool. And all of a sudden you feel a little bit like a little, it's like a seed got planted, you know, you took a little shot, you got excited. And so you want to build skill in this area. Okay, once I become great, so that's all sort of on the personal side. I now feel like I have something to share. And that is when I start doing. That's the real sharing it now. And this part is where see how my arrow is going uphill? Because the uphill part is the scary part, everybody. This is when people start to judge, criticize, give you their opinion. Yes. Oh, amazing. Yes. I love that you're on here and saying that. Yeah. I think that his point was a little bit to not share on social media, but because I actually don't totally agree with that. I think it's okay to start to share who you are and why you are on this journey earlier. I can share on social media this part. I can. It just takes a particular kind of person to do it. Has to believe in themselves. So I'm not, what he was talking about, don't share your creation, okay, until you feel it's great. And that I 100% agree with. Every artist that works with me knows that I always say, you must love what you are posting. You must love what you are sharing. Because if you don't, you will be criticized. You will get opinions from other people that could sway this belief that what you are doing and why you are doing it, we can lose sight of it so easily because it's someone else's story, not our own. Does this make sense? So it's a muscle that we want to build. Once I'm into this, excellent, it's kind of cool. What also starts to happen, and I've seen it happen for a lot of people, they stop learning, they stop here. They stop learning, they stop growing, and they lose inspiration. And so what do we have to do? We have to keep growing. We have to keep learning. Okay? And we have to keep that community of people who are going to ask more questions, push us to another level so that we always stay inspired. We have to keep creating. Okay, so I'm just going to finish that circle for you guys all. And take a screenshot if you want. You can come back onto YouTube and watch this again and start to see yourself in this circle, because you are right here in the center of it all. If I have an inspiration, a voice in my head, how do I keep that goal alive? Because often we listen to other people's voices and it either quiets it, but it's always there. I've yet to meet someone who has a little voice in their head where it goes away. It's always there. Does that make sense to everybody? So I said that we would go through some of the solutions to standing out. So what if I use this as now my map for my goal to stand out? Then we want to start to say to ourselves, well, what are the things that I am doing that are going to continue to keep me in this circle? What are my commitments? The people in our mentorship program, for example, we're talking about right now, what are all the small decisions that I can make that are going to create inertia, that are going to create momentum, that if I do them each and every day, like a little discipline, and we can go through what some of those might be, they're going to build on themselves. They're going to compound on themselves so that I can keep a little wheel going, and that wheel is going to get bigger. It's like pushing snow. Have you guys ever made a snowman and you start with a small ball of snow and you push it through the snow and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger? Has anyone ever made that from when you were a kid? Yeah, so we're going to keep building that ball until it's really, really big. And then we're going to build the next one and we're going to put it on top of itself. And then we're going to put another one and we're going to build it on top of itself. And so we want to have these small decisions each and every day. Again, we want to create that sense of community that is going to push you every day. I offer this masterclass all the time for a reason. I do it because I know that people need this message. That as much as you can think you're doing all the right things, you still don't get anywhere and you feel a little lost. And that feeling of lost, that feeling of broken, that feeling of you lose inspiration can be ignited again. You can ignite it. And in fact, you can love the journey of where you are to where you want to be. And that, I think, is the most important thing that most people forget. Is that if I want to get here, if I'm here and I want there, there's the goal. If I don't love myself here, if I don't know where I am here, and I'm only relating to myself at the end of the journey, who do I need to be? Who will I be? How will I feel there? Then I've lost kind of the whole part of this life thing that we do. These are all little decisions that lead me to where I want to go. I have to know where I am here and where I am here and where I am here. All the little decisions that lead me there. And just like when you put in where you want to go in your Uber, you have to know where you're starting. This is not a life of fake it till you make it. There are lots of people who appear like they are faking it till they make it. But I don't think those people who you appear like they're faking it to make it behind the scenes. How are they really feeling? How do they really feel about themselves? And if we aren't really loving our journey, then what is the point of life? Life is the journey. It's not the destination, as so many poems and books and songs have been written about. It really is the journey. And so the question is not, how do I get there? Because I can always change how. I can always take a different road. If there's too much traffic on one road, I can shift and I can get on another. What's important is that I'm on the road. What's important is that you're on the field. You're not going to win the Super Bowl right now, are you? Anybody who's ever watched any sports knows that there are many, many, many teams when we start a season, and how many times they have to play. And then they get chosen to get to the top 8 based on how many wins, how many losses. And then they've got to now compete against each other. And then that goes down to quarterfinals. And then they're going to compete against each other, and that's going to go to the semifinals. They're going to compete against each other, and that's going to go to the finals. That can be a very long process. And so for all of you who want to accelerate and get to the Super Bowl sooner, then the answer is not how do I do that? The answer is who. Who do you know? Who are you sharing whatever it is that you're doing and who you are, and connecting with people who are going to accelerate it? Certainly the music industry is no different than any other industry. It is a relationship industry. Who do you know? I went to LA, just a quick story, before we wrap things up, and I'll invite you guys to consider enrolling in our next program. We have a performance boot camp. There's like 2 spots left. I do cap it so that everyone can get lots of chances to perform tomorrow at performance boot camp. We're going to talk about how to engage an audience and talk to an audience and build a really cool set. And of course, our mentorship program, which is really the program that pushes you along the way and builds that community. And that we can start anytime over the next 6 months. You can participate in all of our online programs, plus you're just with this phenomenal group of artists that are going to push you and run faster with you. So I invite you to that as well. But here's the story. I was on my way to LA last month, and I had sort of 2 bookmarks, I'll call it, 2 things in the calendar, and I had about 3 days in between that I wanted to fill. So someone had booked me for a masterclass on one day, and 3 days later, someone had booked me for a recording session, and I had 3 days in between. So what did I do was reach out to people to say, hey, I'm coming to LA. That is called declaration. I'm coming. I'm sharing something. And I didn't ask any questions. I didn't say, if you need me, book me. No, I just said, I am coming to Los Angeles and I would love to see you, or I would love to spend time with you. So this is an important part, but we can go through that a little bit more in our mentorship program. The idea, though, in sharing that was, let's see if anyone's out there that I could fill these extra 3 days. And one old friend of mine, Rob Retberg, who happens to be a phenomenal composer of TV themes and film music, he said, I am now managing the Coke Studios in Los Angeles, which is attached to the Crypto Arena, which used to be the Staples Center. And he said, come on in, bring any artists that you are working with, and they can record here with me for free. What? How amazing of that? So I was able to share that opportunity then with some artists. And I said, now, who artists who live in LA that I work with, would you like this opportunity? Relationship. The people who got back to me first, we booked them. So really, this is an art. This story is an art of communication, of declaration, of saying what you want, of then enrolling other people in what you want, and then their ability to see themselves in your vision. If you want to stand out in the world, and the only reason why this worked in terms of my sharing this with Rob Retberg was because I share on social media who I am, what I do, why I do it, and who I do it for all the time. Every single day, I am sharing those 4 questions every day. And when you do that consistently, you're going to stand out. You're going to stand out to people that you don't even know. I didn't even know Rob followed me on social media. I said, Rob, we haven't spoken in so long. It's so wonderful that you remember me. He said, I follow you on social media. And so this idea of waiting before you feel ready or waiting until your product is ready, don't wait. Start to share who you are, declare, build relationships with people, and just know that the journey to where you want to be and what you want to get could be a long journey or a short journey. The who in your life can accelerate it. Who you spend time with, who you surround yourself with, and run faster because of it. So those of you who are artists who want to participate in the Performance Bootcamp, we only have 2 spots left. Make sure you sign up. We'll do another one in June. We run them every other month. And any artist who wants to be a part of our artist mentorship 6-month program, I invite you to that as well. I'm happy to answer any questions also. So ask away. Let's stay on here for a little bit and ask some questions. Okay? James, so great that you're here too. Elisa, I know you had a great question, and I'm going to say goodbye to you guys. This was awesome. Until next time. Okay. And I'm going to stop this too. Okay. So tell me, ask away. How can I?
Hi.